guys ready? Right? Okay. Good afternoon, Chief Mitchell, Oakland Police Department. Today we're here to talk about the heroic and outstanding work that was done by officers Sergeant Frank Negretti and Officer Jessica Menezes. This past Sunday, they jumped into the Lake Merritt Canal to complete a water rescue of someone who was struggling to stay afloat up there. So I'm going to stop right there and let Jessica talk about what happened that night and what they did to save this man's life.
I'm also Jessica Menezes. We got a call to the 300 block of East 8th Street for an individual in the water. When we arrived on scene, we saw a community member holding an extension cord with an individual in the water. We were trying to get our resources together and try and help the individual. As we were there, the individual ended up letting go of the extension cord and getting taken away by the current, which is when Sergeant Negretti started taking off his gear and went into the water to save him. I simultaneously did the same thing, took off my gear, and ended up swimming out to Sergeant Negretti and helping him.
Sorry.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Sergeant Frank Negretti. On that night, we heard a phone call or radio call for requesting the Marine unit. I knew from the area operating the Marine unit that area that connects the Oakland estuary to Lake Merritt is we can't get to it by any boats, and by the time we got there, it would be an extended amount of time. So I drove over there, saw the individual in the water, noticed that the current was flowing at a high rate, and he appeared to be having a hard time hanging on to an extension cord that was given. So I then took off my gear, stowed it, went down to the bank as he let go of the cord, and swam out to recover him, telling him to relax, and myself and Officer Menezes assisted him, swam him back to the shore, and we was brought out of the water and was given medical treatment.
No, Chief. Like, these are the type of stories that, as a chief of police, I just love to talk about. The hard work and the dedication that these officers have for our citizens. So really excited about that. Really excited about making sure that we recognize officers when they do this good work. So we'll stop right there and see if there's any questions that you guys want to ask either of these officers.
Can you talk about the circumstances of this individual? What was the power cord attached to? How did he or she end up in the water? Can you talk about those circumstances?
Before we do that, let me just show you the video real quick, so you might have more questions after watching the video. So we'll put the video up over here. So that gives you an opportunity to take a look. We'll also push it out so you can get it later, but just so you get an idea of what happened and what they were against that night.
Sarge, you want to talk about what occurred? Did they let go and start floating down?
So, ma'am, you had a question?
Yeah, so when you see that extension cord, was someone else on the other end, or what?
So there was someone else on the other end holding it,
Okay.
but how he got in the water, why, is unknown to us at this point.
Okay. Do we know how long he had been there? How long he had been struggling?
For about approximately 5 to 10 minutes by the time I got there, which is a long time, right? When you're in cold water with a current.
And that goes to my other question. I was going to talk about the conditions of what the weather was like, the current, the struggles and the hazards of this operation.
Right. So that waterway is fed by the Oakland estuary, which is attached to the bay. So the water is fairly cold in its 50s. The current, because it's going from a lake to a narrow channel to the estuary, the water flows there pretty rapidly, right? And if you're not a proficient swimmer, it's very, very difficult to fight that current or know how to get out of a current.
And what did the victim share? Did they say anything like while they were in the water? Did they talk to you at all?
No, he was struggling. He wasn't saying very much when we were on scene. At that point, there was a couple yells that he was doing, but nothing of any request or anything like that nature.
And did he have any other injuries on him?
I believe there's some kind of injury to the top of his head. How that occurred, I have no idea.
Is he still in the hospital?
He is
Do we have an age? Or
conscious
I
breathing.
gotta ask this question: is he unhoused?
I couldn't tell you if he's unhoused or not, sir.
Or like, is he a resident of the area?
I believe he is, yes. But he is conscious, he's breathing. So he survived, which is our main goal that night, to get him out of the water and make sure he survived.
And have you had other incidents like this happen recently in the past couple months or anything like that?
No, we've had other instances where people fall in the water and they need to be rescued. But this is the first one that's been recent.
No second thoughts about jumping in the water.
No, not at all. I mean, this is a man that needed help,
Yeah.
right? And if our ability to take action immediately and help him out probably saved his life, but sit there and wait for him to drown is unacceptable. That's not what we're here for. We're here to help people out. That's what Manisi and I did that night.
And didn't look like he was proficient in swimming or knew how to swim. Do you?
No, so based like my experience, like from the Coast Guard doing rescues, if you're in the water and you have clothing on, it's extremely difficult to swim. And if you're not a proficient swimmer, it makes it that much harder, especially with current, cold weather, cold water temperatures. It can go bad really, really fast.
And obviously all that happened really quickly, but like what was going through your head, like swimming out there and being able to get him?
Just the task at hand, getting him out of the water and getting him to shore safely. Right, and then failing was not an option for us that night.
Was there any challenges with that current?
Yeah, the current itself is a challenge. If you're not familiar with swimming with currents, undertows, cold water, it could be a challenge for sure, and it was that night. But having done this before in the past, and having experience with water rescues in the Marine unit, which we do train like this all the time in the Marine unit for rescues, kind of knew what to do and what was required to have them out of the water.
Are you both trained that way?
I am not. No, sir.
Tell us about that.
I'm not trained in any way to do any water rescue or was never a lifeguard. I just knew that when I saw him in the water, I had to do whatever I could to save him. So I went in.
What was going through your mind at the time?
At the time, I was just thinking of ways of how we were going to get to him. Once I saw Sergeant Negretti swim out there, I was like, okay, we're going out there.
Awesome. Just say spell your first and last name and then Sergeant you as well.
Jessica Menezes.
It's spelled out
Oh,
the same.
last name is Menezes.
Sergeant?
It's Frank Negretti. It's N as in November, Egrete.
And
Thank you.
You said you done water rescues before as OPD or
Yes.
okay? Didn't anything as dramatic as this?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Well, your first.
My first time.
How long have you been
Yes,
on?
sir. I just hit 2 years in August.
You've been on for a while.
Since 2008.
All right, guys, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah. Wait, question for the chief. Can we talk about last night at the Oakland Arena, the bomb threat? Can you give more details about that?
I'll
The
take
press
care of that.
release has been
Yeah,
out.
we put out a news release on that already.
Yeah, and there was just questions about being there.
We
People weren't-
put out a news release. All right, and I'll talk to you afterwards. Thank you.
Okay.